Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Abstraction Cup. Hopefully, everybody had a wonderful weekend off from the tournament action because we are about to get right back on into it. Welcome to the Semifinals Mappool Showcase. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth this time around by none other than Nightkore. How's it going, man?
Doing all good. Pretty long casting session I had today, but I had to come back. We had to come back for Abstraction Cup, and what a pool we have to showcase. Taking that small week break from the massacre we had in the quarterfinals, but now for the final 12 teams that are scaving through, we have a map pool that's in surprise for you. So sit back and relax, and we'll take you through it.
Absolutely. Well, people have been waiting for a hot minute. Let's not keep them waiting any longer. We can go ahead and get this started. I'm going to start off with the Rice pool. It will be our Rice 1 pick.
Alright, so we're going to be having Lady Brown by... it's going to be by New James, and it is going to be 1.05 on Scalstiff. This is going to be the stream pick, and also to make sure that the semi-finals pool is going to be the same as the quarterfinals pool, so we're going to be having our 7 Rice, as always.
Yeah, a lot of variety there to work with. Pretty straightforward, chill song, but it has a lot of dump flow patterns where you're having to play a lot of interpretive patterning instead of following the song as strictly as maybe some of the other picks in this pool. Caps out at about 360 BPM. Once you get into the real nitty gritty, these 1/8 patterns really can take you for a bit of a ride, but pretty, I don't want to say relaxed. As somebody that can't play these maps, I never want to say anything's easy, but I imagine for a lot of the Rice-oriented teams and the Rice-oriented players, they might be looking at this and being like, okay, this isn't as terrible or like as bad as they might be thinking for a Rice 1 style of pick, but that's just me yapping, honestly.
Well, I think if you're able to get this far, I think this map should be pretty, I would say light work, because I think what's mostly hard about this map, you have some of those triple jack transitions, even on even on 2 columns as well, even some split frill patterns, and you can even see there just so many nasty mini jacks that you have to keep control of them while holding on to this absolute dumb stream of a pattern.
Yeah, for sure. Little sneaky LNs on the outer columns, get some quads in there as well, just littered with patterning that could cause you to maybe just misclick every now and again. You're over tapping a certain column when you're trying to read something. Misreads are very much on the cards for something like this when the density really does begin to rain down. You do get a bit of a calmer section entering this last quarter, but you dive right back on into it, like you were saying, those little triple jack transitions, and then these I don't want to call them long jack, but just these anchors trying to trip you up on these transitional moments back into the flowy streams.
That's definitely not playing around with a pick like this. And even then, when you're getting to the end, this is a 360 BPM, and you're even seeing some jumps in here. Even just seeing some of those very jump stream-esque patterns as well. It can definitely be a challenge to kind of hold on to all of it, especially that this map does not resent at all. Gotta watch out for that quad transition as well, especially if you do no lock. It's gonna be a very bad side, especially at the end of the map.
For sure. So very, very calm, chill song, but not a very calm, chill chart to get things started with. We can roll right along to our Rice 2 pick of the pool.
So there's going to be number 39, and if you do know this map, I do believe it is a pretty popular timing held by one Crystal as well, but for today, this is going to be our jump stream pick at 280 BPM.
Yeah, on that OD 8.5, this is a custom as well, so thank you to Miyarikesu for getting this one to us for this pool. Definitely do appreciate the efforts, and yeah, like you were saying, just I don't want to say a typical jump stream pick, but this is a jump stream oriented pick at this 280 BPM. Basically, if you can handle the BPM, this is probably bread and butter pick for a lot of the teams remaining. Don't have to worry about any like flowy-esque patterns, like interpretive patterns from Rice 1. You can kind of just lock in and try and sharpshoot this as best as you can while trying to navigate that elevated OD.
Absolutely, it's definitely just going to be a very you can't really tunnel vision this map too much as well, as you can even see have somebody alternating jack, and it's really just managing that trill control as well. This map does not resent at all. Again, like Rice 1 don't really want to be sounding like a broken record.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's always so much you can throw into a map before you start like repeating concepts, but yeah, to your point, these little intrinsic like one-hand trill patterns do transition into like two-hand inner column trills, but navigating in between them, it's very easy to dare I say over trill some of those sections when you're trying to get back into the more jump stream, or like the more hitting the chords in between those segments is going to be of the utmost importance, because they do sneak up of you if you're not too careful. And if you are basically amped up trying to play this, I could see people just spiking misses just randomly throughout this map.
I think this map just even packs a punch as well, even with the spiking misses. And just like this map, like Rice 1, like you do not have breaks at all. Like you have to, it's literally just a marathon of a map. And even for players who might even be feeling fatigued near the end, you might even see some of those misjudgments too, especially when jumps start to get heavier when we're heading into the final ki as well. Like even just one misread of some of those two-note jacks can definitely hurt you up a lot as well.
For sure. So that will do it for our Rice 2 pick. Once again, thank you to Yarikezu for this custom of number 39. We can roll right along into our Rice 3 pick for the pool. It's going to be BOL by level 4.
Alright, gonna be on the longer side at 3 minutes 26 as well. It is going to be a bit more. It's going to be a bit more denser. It's slower than Rice 2, but the density definitely makes it up for it a lot.
Yeah, you also increase the length of the map, give it about another 30-40 seconds to work with. This is going to have much denser patterning, so we might see like hand stream at portions in comparison to the jump stream from earlier. And you can already see once it takes off, you are just strapped in for the ride now.
Absolutely. Like, you can kind of see more of the full areas of stream alongside a lot more of those dense jumps, accompanied by some split throws as well on either column. You can just see everything raining down on you at this point. And the fact that it's a minute longer than Rise 2 definitely shows a big contrast as well between, oh, you know, you got fast jump stream, then you got brutal jump stream.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate as well these. There are bursts interspersed this like 1/4 patterning, basically kind of like an autopilot check. Are you actually making sure that you're paying attention to what you're reading? When you start to hear some of the buzzes in the music, you see the following like 1/8 patterns to make sure that you're not just trying to like lackadaisically play your way through this. And very importantly, also on that elevated OD as well, 8.3. So just making sure that you're really trying to articulate all the patterning in this chart. It's very easy to crush some of those bursts inadvertently if you're trying to keep up with the pace here. Despite it being 20 clicks slower than Rise 2, misses are definitely on the cards for a map like this.
Especially that we're only heading into our first actual break now. Again, this map just does not resent at all when it comes to how treacherous it would be. And even there was I do believe there was a 1/6 roll we've seen in the previous Ki as well, which I forgot to note. So also have fun with that.
For sure. So you do get a tiny bit of a break going into the last quarter of the map, begin rebuilding. If you are trying to make a comeback on this chart, this is where you kind of just need to lock in and just kind of grit your teeth for the ending. If you're hanging on to the lead, then just trying to make sure you don't overthink these last sections because it's just non-stop from here on out.
Essentially just final sprint of a marathon, pretty much. Doesn't really do too much to increase the difficulty. Well, I guess more of a mental note. There are a couple of more 1/6 rolls, but I think they are pretty spaced out here compared to what we have seen for the first Ki. But again, you're still kind of on the final sprint. Of course, nerves and stamina are going to be... Well, nerves going to be higher, stamina's going to be a bit lower. And we have this one final section just to make sure. Just for good measure, essentially. You have a lot more of those anchors just raining down on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep an eye out for those column 4 anchors. Wouldn't be surprised if that was just enough of a reason for players to take mirror on this. Just for that outro alone. Going to be very interesting to see how players adjust to that. But that will do it for Rice 3. We can roll along to Rice 4.
Actually, it's a fun fact about Rice 3 as well. It was a collab between Terra Hylatl and Axlatid as well.
Fantastic. So shout out to them for bringing their minds together to bring us that one. And as we move on into Rice 4, it is going to be Shiki's Mercury Lamp on 1.1x, 162 BPM. Very, very interested to see how this one's going to go for players going into this match.
And if you do know typical Rice 4 pattern, it is core. It's going to be core jack 162 at only this rate. And look at even saying it is fairly dense. You have a lot of those anchors, a couple of those quads as well.
Absolutely. Going to be transitioning from those quads into very heavy patterning. Just a lot of 3-note chords to read through in comparison to weekends past, where it's basically just 2-note chord transitions all over the place. But this is definitely going to be a real test for the remaining teams for their consistency. But with the way that players handle chord jack whenever they decide to go for it, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some astonishing scores from the players remaining, because I'm sure some players are looking at this and just chomping at the bit to show off a ridiculous, like 995, 996k, maybe even higher. I'm prepared to just say 999, but I'm tapering my expectations a little bit. Gotta give players room to exceed expectations here.
It's very easy just to turn into that human metronome. But we are going back into a lot more We're going into a lot more of the more chord jack patterns after a bit of a mini jack break. But now we're just mentioning both of them, and this part can definitely catch you. I think it can catch you a lot out as well, especially when you even have some of those 4-2 patterns as well that can be very awkward to hit from personal experience. Let's just say, but this map does not resent at all. You get no breaks at all. It's just a dash and finish line.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see players try their hand at this one. Would not be surprised if we saw it banned out in a couple of remaining matches. There's so many good chord jack players in this tournament remaining. So yeah, that will do it for Rice 4. We move on to Rice 5. Oh boy. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
you know this. This one doesn't need. We don't need to talk over this one. If people know this one.
Yeah.
I love the note. We've got some notes from from our wonderful host, and he's just like, "You're not gonna believe what we pulled." All right, I can see why.
Oh my god.
This chart doesn't need any introductions. This is high 19 at their best. If you've been around long enough, you know what to expect with this chart. This is the upper difficulty of MC Mental. This is infamous, legendary. I don't know how to describe this chart. It is what it is.
It is legendary. And Adam even made a suggestion for it. Thanks, Adam.
So, yeah, this is what, 4 minutes of just every little intricate pattern you can think of. It gets very dumpy at times. It's flowy. It's, you know,
it's everything.
It's everything. Yeah.
And it's also a 4-minute song, so like it's definitely not an easy map to keep combo on because it's an absolute tech slaughterhouse essentially. I mean, you do get a nice break here. Well, somewhat. Like, it's still very heavy and vocal though. But you do have some mini breaks in between a lot more of those tough streams as well.
Yeah, this is once it really starts going into these, do I call them ki sections? Do I call them into breakdown sections? Like, if you get into the break, the interlude here is just mini jacks all over the place. You get a pretty decent amount of time to kind of rebuild, to kind of take stock of the situation. And from there, the second half is basically a reprisal of the beginning. It's just very dumpy. It begins layering, and you just need to lock in for the ending, basically.
Oh, 100%. You do have a... Well, the thing is, there's not much difficulty in the map, I do remember, because I do remember the last, like, 30 seconds, I think, is pretty light. I think it is just the outro. But for now, we're heading back into things. It is going to be more mini-jack oriented with a couple of more of those streams that we have seen earlier.
Yeah, just broken jump stream into a couple of glut patterns, just following what's going on in the song itself. Gonna start making our way into the last quarter of the map, and like I said, if you're able to handle the first half, the back half isn't really the worst thing in the world. It's really just maintaining concentration for as long as the song is going.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's only like one more part that can trip up players. Some of those anchors just in for good measure. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be a couple more jacks. I already know that in the upper area, Epic Man and Adam are just dying laughing just about this map. But here we are, one more death stream for good measure.
Yeah, unironically, I wouldn't be surprised if players just went for this thinking that it's like, alright, we played this so many times, like, this is probably autopilotable because of the familiarity. You're not having to really think as hard, as opposed to like some of the customs that you haven't seen before. This could be basically something people lean into, unironically. I could also see it catching bans just for being 4 minutes. I imagine as the tournament progresses, you just want to shorten the amount of time you're having to play. So, I mean, I'm glad it's here. It gives us something to talk about. So that will do it for Rice 5. We can move on to Rice 6 now.
Alright, so it's gonna be band of music in this room. It feels so weird going from MC Mental to an actual song now.
Listen, he is at his best.
Okay, here we are. I do believe this is gonna be this is gonna be dumb.
Yeah, that's probably the simplest way of putting this one. It's prototypical dump, very physically demanding, and looks like this one a reprisal from IRL 2023, actually. Fun fact for people who have been around for a while. So this one on 1.05 X rate, varying between 163 224 BPM, averaging around 202, standard OD, standard HP. And just another thing for players to sink their teeth into with regards to just very physically demanding patterning.
Absolutely. Like, it's kind of flowy, but not really flowy at the same time as well. As in, you got a lot of those trills, some of those anchors, some of those mini jacks, and even some flams as well that we have seen a bit earlier. Really, it's just kind of about maintaining combo at this point, and then just put accuracy second backhand. Because you have a lot more of those triple jacks as well, which is definitely going to be pretty detrimental for some teams if they do find them not locked on it.
Yeah, definitely a lot of trip up points through the first half here, like you were saying, just pointing out those like implied mini jack patterns of flams that players could have a propensity to maybe crush, pick up some errant 200s here and there, trying to navigate through everything here because there is definitely a lot to consider with regards to overall patterning structure. And then you get these quads and 3-note chords thrown in just for good measure in the middle of some of those heavier burst sections, just making sure that you're following the flow of what's going on, at least visually.
Absolutely. Again, this map just does not resent at all with a lot of its mini jacks and a lot of its jumps as well. Like, it's definitely a lot more consistency based, but the difficulty mainly just comes from that consistency and stamina at all costs as well.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be an interesting battle between teams that pick this, whether they're going to aim for sharpshooting, the highest accuracy, or just try and get away with an FC and try and like stay in like that mid 99% range to ensure that they have enough score to try and sneak one out against their opponents. Because of the fact that, like I said, there's just a lot of points where you could just find yourself bleeding accuracy just inadvertently from the patterning. So as this one comes to an end, that will do it for Rice 6. Hopefully another chart that we'll see some pretty nice action between teams on. And we only have one more Rice chart to go for here. It is going to be Rice 7.
This is going to be our final Rice, and we're actually going to be seeing a surprise from Will as well.
Yeah, Gil Hermesiad bringing us an elegant VIP by Noteacre, and pretty straightforward, but the patterns aren't the easiest to act.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, you already get it. If you know any of Will's maps, like Nelv, Nest, like, you're in for something. And even just starting off with these 3-note patterns that are just alternating between each hand, so I think Mirror is just like the equation.
Yeah, you're catching these hands whether you want to or not, mirror or not. Like those 3-note structure, those 3-column structures are so abrasive to read through, and they're so abrupt. The start and stop motions, you can't really get a handle on what's going on. The pattern of each repetition changing every time, that it's like it's very easy to find yourself mind blocking some of them. So mirror, definitely an option. Would not be surprised if this led to a lot of players just mind blocking some of these patterns. They look like hell to play through.
Especially at 180 BPM. Like, you're hitting around 300 BPM bursts and 180 BPM mini jet. Like, 6-note anchors at 180 BPM, like, mind you. And some of them are just broken anchors as well, as we have seen the intro.
Then we begin this build up. You do get a tiny bit of a reprieve through the middle portion of the map, a chance to kind of reorient, but then getting back into it and the whole structure changes. You wanted those wild trill bursts. No, now you get core jack bursts. Have fun, y'all.
Gotta love it. Especially since both of them are mini jacks as well, so you still have to keep on your control. And you have flams as well, just for good. Just again, you know, because why not? Put a cherry on top. And here we are. Just kind of more of the same thing.
Yeah, now this presents a very interesting question for teams where it's like, okay, maybe you have a player that is very strong on tech-oriented picks that can handle the first half, but maybe lags a little bit behind on higher BPM core jack structures. Who do you bring in for a map like this is something that the teams will have to deliberate on, because you might have a very strong core jack player that might lag a little bit behind with more technical finesse patterns like that introduction. And if they can hold on to enough accuracy to make themselves competitive in the outro, then you get this reprisal in the outro where if you could handle the middle portion, you might be fine, but you gotta be able to handle the intro and the outro. It's not how you start, it's how you finish on a map like this.
How about one more time for good measure, essentially?
Absolutely. Are you paying attention? Are you ready for the transition into a reprisal of the intro? And what a way to round out the Rice portion of the map pool. There's definitely a lot of variation in the styles of the maps, and definitely a lot for the teams to sink their teeth into. And I'm looking forward to some battles across some of these rice picks. I'm especially eyeing that rice for, like I said, just wanting to see some absolute out of the park performances.
Oh, I'm in the same boat 100%. I'm very excited just to see. I'm just very excited to see what's gonna be happening.
For sure. So, with that being said, that will do it for the rice side of the pool. We move on to the hybrids. We got hybrid one. Gonna be, hey, it wouldn't be a map without some Camellia. We got Eclipse here, and we got 270 BPM hybrids, an outrageously difficult introduction into the chart, some very short LN burst patterns, and there's going to be a lot of jump scares in this chart with regards to how abrasive some of the patterning can get.
If you wanted to go to hybrids and maybe take a break from high BPM jump stream, well, you're essentially out of luck here. Got a lot of those even mini jacks as well. That 270 BPM jump stream, even some shields being seen here as well. It just contains the whole course essentially, and that's only 1/3 the way in.
Yeah, we didn't even discuss the map length. 2 minutes, a quick in, quick out style of chart with a lot to read through. I'm looking at these mini jack patterns through some of the earlier sections, and I mean, these LN structures are just so evil. You have the longer LNs with the trills, two-handed, one-handed at times. The transitions are just so abrupt here.
Oh, and you even get to stare at it as well right after that nasty drill. And we still have one for the map left. See what's going on. It's definitely one of the more physical picks. Just having a lot of those burst transitions as well that people players off, and you're just thrown into a full density area.
Yeah, just trying to find a spot to try to focus on, but there's so much going on visually here where if you're not playing a right section, you're transitioning into these LN sections, trying to hold on, not overhold some of these structures, the 1/6 burst, on top of the fact that they're LNs, just crushing some of these patterns. Gonna be of the utmost importance not to try and do. And a Lacrima Trill, well, not a Lacrima Trill, you don't have the outer columns, but just a inner column Trill as well. I would not want to be the one to choke it right there at the end on a very good run, but I imagine we might see at least one.
Yeah, there's potentially 12 teams left, so 24 people potentially could fight a drop on that.
You're telling me there's a chance, but
There's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely. But that will do it for Hybrid 1. We're going to move on to Hybrid 2.
This is going to be our Jack hybrid. So it's going to be Robot Jesus Vampire. It's going to be 2 minutes 40 seconds, and at only 7.7, pretty average, I would say, for a hybrid. This wastes no time. Already just jumping into 140 BPM anchors, accompanied by some schlongs.
Yeah, if you wanted a second core jack pick to go into, I mean, why not throw some LNs in there? That's always fun. And really, really disgustingly abrasive flams with the LN zone, and just for good measure, just making sure you're not overholding anything. Just, oh god, this is very hard to read through. I'm having a hell of a time trying to parse what's going on during some of these transitional sections. I don't know about you, Nightkore.
I don't even know if you're supposed to be falling to the song, or if it's just polyrhythmic. This is definitely giving me big 2L vibes.
Yeah, for sure. Just every sound accentuated to an nth degree during those sections. You do get a tiny bit of a reprieve here with some polyrhythmic structures with the anchors on the outer columns, but I would be surprised if somebody's just spiked a miss on that, and then we begin to layer back the difficulty on here, and no. This is this is so hard to read through.
A hard map is like peeling an orange. You start with the appetizer, and then you just go into whatever this is. just those one-hand anchors just scattered in with a lot of those densities areas and some of those short LMs. You can even see by the replay that how brutal this is to no lock. But thankfully, you get a break.
Yeah, third of the map still left to go here, and I mean, I don't know about you. I saw those outer column mini jack anchors with the short LNs on them, and I'm just like, oh no, that's a column rush just waiting to happen. I mean, there's so many choke points in this map so far, and we're not even done yet.
Oh yeah, we just had the final draft for good measure. This is already just stirring up those mini jacks. I don't even think they're 1-4. I think they're a lot denser than that.
They gotta be. You're compressing them so finely. You're getting past like 1/8 bursts here. You're getting into like maybe 1/9, 1/12, just crushing them so much to get the effect through. And I mean, I'm sure there's at least a handful of players looking at this like, oh, great, this is a challenge, finally. And yeah, that will do it for Hybrid 2. That is a heck of a map to read through. And only one left. I don't know how you can top that one for the hybrids, but we're gonna try. We got Hybrid 3 on the cards here.
We have She Sings in the Morning, gonna be by our only host, Epic Man 2. Actually, actually, it is partially Epic Man. It is Epic Man and anybody. It's teammate collab.
Fantastic. And I mean, if you know Epic Man when it comes to hybrid style charts, they're just on the hunt to make some of the most abrasive patterning possible. Like you can already see here, just even in the calmer transitional moments out of sections, just wasting no time trying to push the envelope with regards to how dense they can make certain patterns and forcing you to hold on to certain things longer than you're expecting to, while forcing you to hold on to mini jacks or just one-handed trills, two-handed trill transitional patterns. And I mean,
it's something, all right.
Definitely. I'm trying to find the words to describe what's going on here. There's just so much to take in, and we're only a third of the way through the map here.
There is definitely... Well, I would say it's definitely a lot more... It's definitely a lot less awkward. I mean, of course, as I say that, you have the anchors and you have the trills. But I would say it's a bit less awkward than what we have in Hybrid 2, but it definitely makes up for more the physicality in this regard.
Yeah, for sure. Just the amount of grace notes that are found on those LNs, and then the fact that you have the anchors as well. There is no calm section of the chart. Everything is being accentuated to a much higher level to really just push the physical envelope. And I mean, these hybrids are definitely something else. It's definitely pick at your own risk style. You definitely need to have some semblance of transitional mastery and just a level of physicality that has been ramping up to this level. But I mean, we're really gonna start weeding out some of the lesser physically capable players with maps like this.
And we have the physicality as well, just going up a lot more. Like, you have some of those reverse double shields, you have some rolls as well, even some inverse patterns as well. Just one last dance essentially before the map does conclude. I still have a good chunk of the map left. It does not resent at all. Even some 2-0 anchors, as you're seeing there. As you said, you just have to have a PhD in transitioning in patterns.
Yeah, not for the faint of heart. Similar to Hybrid 2, this is another very, very aggressively styled pick. Would not be surprised if we saw higher seeded teams maybe go for this just to push around their opponents potentially. But similar to the Rice picks, I mean, gonna be very interesting to see which teams decide to go for the hybrids. But it's only 3 for this round. We can now move on to the LNs.
All right. We'll be starting off with the density. Already 4 minutes long.
Yeah, it's gonna be Kanzen Hanzai Love Letter. And this is going to be basically your prototypical timing hell. We see it most of the time with tournaments once we get to a certain point in difficulty that coordination kind of evolves into this timing hell style chart. The releases on these LNs going to be all over the place, no real grid to speak of at times when regards to when you're supposed to let go of some of these notes.
Oh, oh, 100%. Also, this map was used in North America Media Tournament in 2023 as well. I'm not sure what round it was, but it must have been a late game as well. Because
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, but the map, it is, as you said, it is going to be your pretty standard timing hell, especially from the start. It's just kind of being able to hold on and see how well you can play coordination. But as we do kind of get into the speed up now, we're seeing a lot more those. We're seeing a lot more of the density even rise as well.
Yeah, just making the little appearances to kind of break up what's going on here, just forcing you to pay that little bit more attention as we get further into the chart. This is the longest LN map of the pool, so clocking it just shy of 4 minutes. Gonna be a bit of a consistency test. Does leave room for potential comebacks when it comes to these longer maps. If you have a bad start, trying to recover, could see some epic runs towards the end if the person ahead starts losing consistency, starts finding misses in this back half. Because, I mean, there's just so much to read through at times that just misreading some of these structures can happen. I mean, when you're playing for this long, there's always chance for a slip up here or there.
I can 100% see that. And even then, holding on to a full combo on this map is definitely going to be a tough task, especially when you are playing in a tournament setting too, where the nerves are going to be a bit higher. But pretty much, the KIs do stay the same mostly. You do have some really nasty trills and even some jumps as well in between the long note sections. But outside of that, if you're going to able to, you know, maintain on your density and your release timings, you should be okay for this.
Yeah, you do get a bit of a cooldown section going into the last quarter. Still about a minute left of map 2 playthrough here after you get out of that guitar solo section. And basically boils down to more of the same. I mean, for as visually dense as this looks, there are definitely points that you can look towards when you're trying to read through some of these harder sections. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still very visually daunting, but in comparison to, say, the hybrids, it's like, you know what you're getting. It's not gonna hit you with like a surprise rice section transition. So, I mean, if you're able to read through it, I mean, don't see why teams will want to shy away from it. So
I feel like for a lot of the teams, like if they're pretty comfortable at I think this is going to be one of the, I think this map is going to be one of the aces up their sleeve. Again, of course, that also does mean if you can handle endurance-based maps too, if you can, then you know this map might be up your alley.
for sure. So that will do it for LN1. We can move on to LN2.
All right, so this is going to be it's going to be your density pick. You can even just see by the star rating already that you're in for time, and you probably know it is density. To compensate, it is only at OD 7.2, but at 225 BPM, it's definitely, the OD definitely compensates a lot for how brutal we're going to be getting into this.
Absolutely, and this closer to the BPM of the quarterfinals density pick, but definitely focuses more on heavier inverse style patterning in comparison to it, and definitely a musical difference to LN1 where you're you kind of have a one-to-one of what you're playing here in comparison to that one. So being able to read through some of these patterns more on a 1/4 grid could bode well for teams trying to navigate through this chart, but it's still a pretty heavy ask to go through.
Absolutely. I feel like with a pick like this, it's like you're kind of knowing what you're getting with LNs. Meanwhile, for hybrid, it's kind of more of a bit more abrasive. I feel like the density is pretty simple when it does come to its patterning. It's just the fact that you have very little gaps. You have to manage those free node columns as well, which do swing a lot when it comes to the map. That mirror might even be obsolete. Well, not really, but you just have to have really good control. Even on the inner columns as well, you have to manage a lot of those other free node external nodes too.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point with mirrors, like there's definitely patterns that get flipped back and forth. It's just a matter of how you want to transition into those flowier moments where it's like you're just staircasing from left to right, where you want to do that from left to right or go from right to left at times, which hand you want to basically be bearing the brunt of the transitional moments. And as we make our way into this outro, I mean, just basically more of the same, just so many notes to read through. Thankfully for maps like this, I mean, recovering combo isn't going to be that big of a deal, but I can imagine chain misses, just keeping the drops as clean as possible is going to be of the utmost importance to try and keep a good score on a map like this.
Absolutely. And that is going to be it for our LN2. So now, going to be jumping into LN3, which is going to be another customer. And this is going to be our wildcard LN, which also does kind of jump into technical. It is going to be Fireworks X Stargazer by Castella.
Yeah, so like you had mentioned, very wildcardy, more tech-oriented, gonna have some interesting ideas littered throughout, kind of blending the mix of like density LNs with a tiny bit of coordination here and there, and has some bursts thrown in just for good measure, some grace notes, flams littered all over the place in this little breakdown moment before beginning the build up into the next major section here.
It does feel like a pretty good mix of LN2 with a lot of those technical, well, kind of a lot of those graces, flams, over external snapping also being thrown at you as well. Definitely, if you can get into the flow of this, because it's definitely not shield oriented or kind of mini jack oriented. I feel like this map can be pretty easier for some people to get the right flow in it. You do have some full density bursts though that, if not careful, can definitely throw you off as well.
So then you get into this breakdown section where very chord heavy of the LN anchors with the 2-node chords thrown in on the other columns, and bit of a calmer section, feels like a slowdown or a little reprieve from that introduction. You're already in the back half of the map and maybe trying to rebuild or just pull away with an advantage.
It's essentially just calm before the storm at this point, and you're thrown essentially straight into it again.
Yeah, just full on density patterning where everything is being thrown at you, trying to get you to miss. Very staircase stops and starts. Most of it's still following a grid. There are a couple of hanging LNs where they're not snapped to a like 1/4 release. You do have to kind of time them a little bit, and it's going to be very interesting to see accuracies kind of go by the wayside on this outro for those that are trying to hang on as best as they can. But you do have this like repeating motif that lets you kind of transition into these heavier sections a little bit more gracefully. But that being said, once you get into them, just being prepared for the patterning that is to come, you get a reprise of that heavy grace note, LN start stops right at the outro, and basically kind of a victory lap if you're in the lead here for the last couple of notes. But outside of that, I mean, a lot to kind of sink your teeth into stylistically for an LN3.
I can see teams who maybe are more of a fan of LN2, even LN1. I feel like this would be right up their alley, and maybe a potential ban if, well, if the other team does decide to protect LN2, maybe you want to go for a ban on this, or vice versa. But now that is going to be LN3 done, and
Yep. And
now we're going to be heading into our final regular pick, LN4, before we jump into the tiebreaker.
yep, so rolling right on into it. Gonna be Total Eclipse of the Sun. This one being taken from Japanese Mania Championships 2. Gonna be on the 1.05x uprate. I think this is the shortest LN as well, just over 2 minutes. OD 7.5, and this is Coordination.
I do believe this is the shortest pick in general as well, just about clocking with 2 minutes. But if you do know Kruke's style of mapping, especially when it comes to more Jack-oriented stuff, you definitely know it is pretty anchor heavy, pretty control heavy as well. While the releases are, I wouldn't really say too bad, it's just kind of transitioning between the releases and a lot of those anchors as well, which could definitely throw a lot of players off.
Yeah, I remember a really long time ago, there was a really good descriptor for Kruke when it came to their mapping style, where it was basically, if you give them a objective that they need to accomplish in a map, they will do everything in their power to accomplish that objective. And with this map, they were basically like, all right, make a coordination pick that has very awkward chord jack style transitions. I'm not sure if that was the actual thing they told him, but if that was, I think they nailed it. Like, this is basically a true coordination test, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was the more popular pick in the pool, just based on how innocuous it looks on the surface. But playing it and getting consistent scores on it is probably going to be a nightmare, because if one person can play it, then probably everybody can play it.
Oh, 100%. And even then, these density bursts are not doing any favors in making the map more appealing, because it gets really tight, especially when you're thrown to full density at the end into the final quad, and the map's over in the blink of an eye, essentially. Like, the problem is when a map that's only 2 minutes long, like, it is just high risk, high reward, as someone in as Asian has said in the chat. Is
Yeah, this is a double-edged sword, similar to what I always say with the core jack picks. It's like, if you mess up once, that is probably run over, point gone. So gonna be very interested to see how the duels on this particular map are gonna go, and the entire pool. Honestly, there's a lot for the players to kind of situate themselves towards, and with the skill overlap becoming basically a circle at this point as we make our way into the later rounds. There's only one map left we got to show you guys, and if you guys can't decide amongst yourselves who's going to win a match, got to go to tiebreaker. The tiebreaker for the semifinals is going to be,
roll please, of Ambrosia by a pretty well-known mapper.
and it's like with Of Ambrosia, I imagine some people maybe getting some flashbacks to, was this a tiebreaker or used in a round of MWC a couple years ago? I can't remember at this point. It's been
It was.
a couple years, yeah.
Either 2023 or I think it was used in
22 or 23?
yeah. I think it was 2022, 2023. Well, it was. I think it was used in Catch World Cup first, and then I think.
Yes, you're right. You're
Oh,
right. It was a original for Catch, and then Mania kind of took it and ran with it.
yeah. God, I still remember when. Like, it was still in the
It's
days
been a couple
where
years.
we were still in the days of finding a 5-star in the rank section was like, what? No way. And now,
Yeah.
I
Now
remember,
it's
now it's just like you just see a 5-star and you're like, whatever. But yeah, about this map, it is pretty self-explanatory when it comes to tiebreaker. Of course, you have to speed up section here, which does rack up a bit, especially with a lot more of those roll bursts as well.
for sure. You have these transitional moments where it's like a pure rice section, you have a pure LN section, and as things begin to really ramp up, the BPM begins to increase. You get this really awkward 3-note burst transition on the LNs, and I mean, with a song like this, rather, with of Ambrosia, a lot of the sections do feel telegraphed with regards to what you could potentially look forward to with regards to the mapping, and so far it's kept those transitional moments intact, and then the interludes in between is kind of a mishmash of different ideas, and we get back into this more rice heavy moment. But once we get into the next breakdown, I imagine it'll transition back into a bit more of an LN structure, as you can see here, basically becoming inverse as we make our way into the next section.
You definitely have to watch out for a lot of those BPM changes as well. Some of them can be abrupt and some of them can be gradual, which, especially with some of the LN sections, if you're not ready, you can drop a few 200s as well, which might not be the full deciding factor to score, because for tiebreaker, of course, you want to focus on combo first. It could definitely be a pretty... it can be a deciding factor still.
For sure. And then we make our way out of the first half. We get this big build-up section, a lot of impact chords, staggered releases, much more hybridized before diving into a full LN density section where you have these ideas of longer 2-note holds with trills in between, just a lot of filler in between a lot of the longer holds as you transition through these moments, and then the transitional impacts inside of the section becoming very jack heavy and forcing you to ensure that you're not basically overholding certain sections, you're not discounting outer columns or inner columns at certain points when trying to read through some of the more aggressive bursts in between, and still there's a third of the map left to go here.
Here we are. The transitions are absolutely brutal. Just those short LNs that go on for about 20 notes, which, as you said, evil.
I see a 2-note inner column hold with the jacks on the outside. I'm just praying I am not shaking and flamming every single one of those getting out of that section.
Like, I mean, you see a jack in any tournament setting and is instantly nerves. It's definitely something that can throw everyone off. But yeah, here we are into the sweater jazz, as I like to call it. Have a lot more of those anchors again. Not as dense and kind of more of a bursty, I'm pretty sure. But anything can still catch you out. But if you were able to play the first half of the map, this should be no problem for you.
Yeah, very techy. And I mean, the music at this portion really lends itself to it. It's very free-flowing when it comes to the moments in between, because you have the main idea where you have the main melody, and then things start to really pick up. The density begins to start getting layered on. But you do have some transitional moments, a small little lack of control, heavy glut transition into the bursts, some LN chords as well. Basically standard fare stuff for a song of this caliber, just handling things as best as you can. Very easy to misread some of these sections as you make your way into this outro, and there's still plenty more to come through here.
is absolutely raining down on rolls. The LN transitions might be simple, but again, that just final sprint to the finish line. Again, the rolls keep going down, and as the song ends up coming to a close, I feel like maybe some scores could change here if you're not careful. One giant more roll for good measure, and there we are. The end of the map. A couple of more nice scattered notes.
Keep your hands on the keyboard at all times. Do not take your hands off until the ride is over. Definitely do not want to think it's over before it's over. And with how close some of these matches can get, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of thinking it was over before it was done. So that will do it for the semifinals map pool showcase. Hopefully everybody has enjoyed. And I don't know about you, Nightkore. I'm itching to see how players stack up against each other moving into this weekend. As always, if you are in the losers bracket, you do have your conditional matches, so please make sure you are accounting for playing 2 matches potentially. If you're in the winners bracket, best of luck, because I mean finals is on the line, and I think if you make finals in the winners bracket, that's a guaranteed podium. So I don't know about you, that sounds pretty nice to me.
Yep, we could get a nice bit of cash in your pocket. See what you do end up spending it on.
Absolutely. So, as always, if you do have feedback about the map pool, any thoughts, any little things here or there, no matter how small, no matter how big it is, as you play through it or as you watched it in the showcase, please feel free to share your thoughts in the Discord. We are always looking for player feedback. We want to try and make this as enjoyable of a tournament as possible for those that are remaining. And we definitely take you guys' word with some consideration. As you can see, having to take an extra week to make sure that the semifinals map pool was in place to make sure we give you guys as good an experience as possible. So until then, I mean, Nightkore, you have anything else left to add before we sign off for the week?
Nope. Essentially, just what Sparky said. We thank you for your patience for this week, and best of luck. And again, of course, the money you win is being taken out of Adam's pocket as well, as the small prize pool is worth 1,000. Pretty big.
Pretty
Thank you,
big.
Adam.
So thank you, Adam. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.
Goodbye.